Tonight's species is a favorite of most people and certainly a favorite on the seafood menu. Anglers love catching these fish because they pull really hard, and they've always amazed me at the diversity of habitat this fish can live in, sometimes shallow and more often deep. Tonight, it's all about the groupers here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to another week right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, here to bring you a fantastic weekend of fishing, especially if grouper is on your planned menu, like you said, right, Rick?
Absolutely. You know, Brie, groupers are one of my favorite fish, not only because you can eat them, but because there's so many varieties of them to catch, whether it's a shallow water grouper or whether it's the deep water groupers like the snowies and the Warsaws. They're just so much fun to catch, and the variety of tackle that you gotta have to catch them is also monstrous.
So here's a question: what is your favorite way to eat them?
Oh, certainly fried grouper fingers with a little black beans and rice and some onions on the top.
Shoot.
That's it.
Dinner
Maybe even
good.
a cornbread, little
cornbread on the side.
Oh,
okay.
It's all good.
Well, Rick, we are very lucky today because we have Captain Randy Tao from the Keys region filling in for Dave at the CCA workbench right over yonder. Welcome to the studio, Randy.
Hey, fish fans, glad to be here.
Man, that's a man that knows about grouper. He even got a little face like a grouper sometimes. See that?
Is that a compliment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Randy, are you going to take it? Take it as a compliment?
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'll get him back.
So what's your favorite way to eat grouper? Just wondering, because I'm sure you've...
With my hands.
Wow. That's a Randy Tao answer right there, if I've ever heard one. All right. Well, Randy, there's no better place to start this Grouper Fest than in the Alto Equipment Keys region. So why don't you start us with your report?
Just go ahead.
Hey, fish fans. You know, in the Alta Keys region, we have groupers from Key Largo to Key West, and even down to the Tortugas, the Marquesas. So if you're going to target these groupers, we've got reds, blacks, and gags primarily that we fish for. We also catch them in the bay. We also catch them in the Gulf. But certainly the reef holds plenty of groupers, and a lot of your deep water wrecks will hold them as well. Groupers like to hide out in a place where they feel safe. So that's why your tackle's going to be a little bit on the heavier side. Your leader's going to be a little bigger. Your hook's going to be a little stronger. Because when they eat your bait, it's a tug of war, and you've got to get them coming the other way to have some success with them. So anchored, you fish a little bit different than when you're drifting. You know, you've got a little advantage because you're moving away from their spot naturally with the current. And there's nothing more exciting than to drop that grunt pinfish or pilchard down to the bottom and have it get eaten by a nice black grouper. Talking about groupers, Captain Chris Trossett with Real Fly Charters in Key West. He's one of the best at catching groupers. He catches them on light tackle, he catches them on heavy tackle, and that's certainly one of his specialties down there. And I've got a picture of his angler, Travis Holman, with a nice black grouper they caught doing that out of Key West.
Look at Travis sneaking in here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. How about that? What else you got for us offshore, Randy?
You know, the daytime swordfish bite has been really strong. I've been seeing a lot of fish being caught, and certainly a lot of my friends have been telling me how good it's been. And of course, I've been tarpon fishing and doing other things, so I haven't been able to take advantage of it. But they were telling me 1,500 to 1,700 feet is kind of the magic depth right now, and always a fresh bait, like a bonita belly, a dolphin belly, a barracuda belly. That fresh bait a lot of times makes the difference between getting a bite and not. And a lot of these guys really believe in that, and they're successful doing it. Now, 65-pound braided line, 80-pound braided line is what you're going to be using, and you really want to try to stay vertical. When you get to the bottom in 1,700 feet, you've got a belly in your line, but it's not as drastic as you would think, and you want to keep an eye on the tip of the rod. It's real important to watch that bite. It's very subtle. You'll just see the rod tip a little bit, and that's going to be a bite from a swordfish because he's a long ways away. Captain John Wolf sent me this picture of a fish they caught last week out of Key Largo. It was a 390-pound pumpkin swordfish. That's when their meat turns orange from eating red shrimp on the bottom. His anglers were Jeff Bay, Phil French, mate Harry Kennedy, and they landed this beautiful pumpkin swordfish out of Key Largo.
All right, let's go inshore, bub.
Barracudas. You know, Rick, we used to talk about barracudas all the time, and they used to be a nuisance, and then they kind of disappeared. Well, I tell you what, they're making a comeback, and Florida Bay right now has plenty of barracudas in Florida Bay in the channels. A lot of times guys will be mangrove snapper fishing, and they'll hook something, and it takes all their line off the reel, and it's been big barracudas. A lot of the channels, a lot of the edges of these flats, these barracudas are sitting, topwater plugs, live bait. They've been catching them on, and they've just been a lot of fun. They're a great fish to catch. They run, they jump, they're mean looking, and I have a photo of one we caught just the other day in Florida Bay, and my angler was Johnny Adcock from Tampa, and look at this jumbo barracuda in 10 feet of water.
Nice. Well, that's because you're awesome, so give me one more species, bub.
Tarpon. You know, it's tarpon season, and most everybody's getting their chances right now. Upper Keys, Channel 2, Channel 5, Long Key, those are the known hot spots in my region in the Upper Keys. You got 7 Mile, Bahia Honda, down to the south. Those guys are using crabs, we're using mullet, and it seems like guys are getting action on either tide. Long as that water's moving, they seem to be having some success. Crabs work better down there than up this way right now. And I've got a photo of Corey Nelson fishing out of Bud and Mary's with Native Sun Charters with his angler with a nice tarpon sunset release.
Well,
perfect.
Good report. Starting us off tonight, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Florida Keys hotspots. Randy says that inshore, tarpon in the Channel 2 and Channel 5, you want to use live mullet. And if you're fishing Bahia Honda, you want to try live crabs. And then offshore, yellowtail snappers. Anchoring 100 feet to get away from the trash fish. Be patient, and don't forget, fish one rod at a time.
That last photo was like the quintessential Keys picture.
Yeah, man, with the
Tarpon,
old bridge in the background.
Sunset, bridge release, I love it. All right, let's head up the coast to the Rio Legend Central East region and see where Captain Jim Ross says we should find our future dinner. Go for it, Jim.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, the grouper anglers in my region are really looking forward to getting offshore and hitting those offshore ledges and reefs in the upcoming weeks, because that's where we're going to find those bigger grouper, especially those fish that are over 30 pounds. Now, live baits like croakers and blue runners are obviously the best to use. You can also use cut baits, cut ladyfish, cut bonita, sardines, squid. They'll hit all of those things, but the bigger baits seem to be working better, and the fresher or more lively the bait is, the better your chances of catching one. Kind of with the exception of maybe a grunt. You can kind of take a grunt and smash it, you know, cut it in half, smash its head, and that'll catch some big grouper as well. Most of the grouper right now are running in the 10 to 15 or even 20 pound class, and occasionally you'll get one right over 30 pounds. And then the other species that's kind of picking up right now is the wahoo. The guys that are trolling, the action's starting to heat up for them in my region this week, and that's because our Rio Legend Central East region waters are running between 75 and 77 degrees. Now this range is generally a pretty good temperature for wahoo when you're trying to go out there and target those species. Now we've got good numbers of fish coming through our waters heading north. For the next month or even month and a half, you'll get them into early June. So if you're not out there in the next week or two, don't think that you're going to miss them, because there are some more wahoo coming through. Now you want to look for birds dipping and wheeling around in one area, showing that there's some bait or something in that area. That's typically a good place to look for wahoo. Or a single frigate bird can also follow wahoo at times, just the same way they will a billfish. Wahoo, you know, they like to take advantage of the other fish that are schooling baits, like dolphin and stuff as well. So a lot of times you'll find them around the outside of a dolphin pack. And I've got a picture here of Captain J.J. Ellis of Rainbow Charters out of Ponce Inlet. And that is a really nice wahoo that he just recently caught out of that inlet.
Sure is. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
Redfish, Rick. We've actually got some redfish starting to show back up. There's some slot-sized fish showing up, and all through the Central East region. We're excited because the Star Tournament's getting ready to just happen, and so even if you don't catch that tagged fish, guess what? There's still other fish there to be caught, and so you can put them in the non-tagged category, which is really cool. So places that you're going to find these fish are the Banana River, the Mosquito Lagoon, and the north part of the Indian River best, because that's where the water seems to be cleanest right now. Where the water's a little more turbid, you want to use some cut baits or something like that, and you can get them to come out from under mangroves or out from under docks. Now, most of our fish are running 20 to 25 inches, and I've got a picture here of a twin set of Banana River redfish that I took out some guys the other day, and we caught them right underneath those, right against those mangroves on those right there on the background. Now, my last species is black drum, and the drum action was really strong throughout the whole area until this last weekend. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 days, the bites just kind of shut down for some reason. They haven't been in their usual places around the spoil islands and the channels and the bridges and things. They're out there roaming around in the flats. So you never know where you're going to find them when they start doing that. So those places that are typical places that you're going to use cut crab or live shrimp, if you don't see them there, just start searching. You will find those fish. A saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad in the Pimp Daddy color is a great thing to throw when you're out on the flats. I love that, and you got it tipped with the fish bites, Rick. I absolutely love that combination. Most of our fish are running 20 to 30 pounds. And I've got a picture here of Kyle with a nice black drum that we caught about a week and a half ago. And you can kind of see in the background, there's a little ripple back there. Well, that was where the school spooked and then kind of took off because there was a boat that got a little too close to us. But that's the size drum that we're catching right now.
Those are some pretty good drum there, Jim. How long is that drum fishery gonna last, bub?
It's hard to say, Rick. Last year, it stayed all through the middle of the summertime. This year, it's been a little more spotty. The fish are bigger, but they're also moving around a lot more than what they did last year. So I'm hoping that they can stay through the summer because they were a real good staple for us last year.
Well, I sure would love to try to shoot a Sportsman's Adventure with you. Let's talk about that when we get off the show. I'll give you a call the next day or two.
We'll drum something up.
That sounds fantastic. I'd love that.
Yeah, we'll drum something up as the beautiful Brie just said.
Yeah.
But it is time for the Rodan
Bye, Jim.
hotspots from the East region. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Jim says. He says this weekend you should go inshore shark along the beaches. Use live or cut baits on a standard bottom rig. And then offshore, maybe dolphin and wahoo on the western edge of the Gulf Stream. Troll skirted ballyhoos in 5 to 6 knots near the rips and color changes, or maybe some floating debris.
Have you ever caught black drum on Sportsman Adventures before?
Yeah, we caught them with Brian Sanders.
Yeah,
big ones.
Big ones like that.
Over in Chuckaluski. Yes, ma'am.
I
sure
love them
did.
black drum. They're fun.
Yeah,
and that
cool.
sound they make when you pull them on board, oh, it's so cool. And their lips, Angelina Jolie reminds me of her every time. All right, now here's another special Real Legends announcement. Now through April 27th, short sleeve solid saltwater or mariner tops and bonefish or tarpon shorts for men are only $19.99.
What?
On reallegends.com. Make sure you get there. Father's Day's coming up. Just
Load
saying.
it up, guys.
Load it up.
The
Load
wagon.
up the cart. All right, stay hooked because we're heading.
For shorts?
That's it. We're heading to the Discover Crystal River Northwest region next. But first, we're going to the CCA workbench to see what Captain Randy Tao is talking about for Academy Sports, rigs, and techniques. Randy, what's going on over there?
Hey guys, you know we're going to talk about groupers. We're going to show you some secret rigs, how to rig up your rod and catch these things. And we're going to show you what hooks to use, what tackle you're going to need. Stay tuned. You're going to want to pay attention to this.
Ooh, secrets. I love secrets.
He's a secret man.
Woo, we'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats, always in the game. Fenwick. SiriusXM Marine. Weather, fishing mapping, entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Stiffy. Innovators in shallow water performance. And Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Reliability. Yamaha is known for it. And it's something boaters value, because these days, few things are built to last. When we find something that is, we hold on to friendships, traditions, outboards, because every second on the water is sacred. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life, because reliability starts here.
What started in the flats and bays has migrated offshore. GPS-guided trolling motor technology has moved to boats in the 35-plus foot class, and allowed anchoring capabilities on most center consoles in any depth of water. From snook and redfish inshore to grouper and swordfish way out deep, Rodan Marine Systems has a GPS anchor to hold your vessel on location. Set it, forget it, catch more fish.
Every year, Noble Air Charter flies over 20,000 outdoorsmen and families just like you economically to over 300 Bahamian and Florida destinations. Noble Air Charter makes a substantial investment improving booking and aircraft route planning to create the most affordable and economical flight possible. And tomorrow, Noble Air's team will rise to the challenge to raise the bar yet again.
So it's time for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques here at the CCA workbench. And you know what? Dave's out this week. Couldn't think of a better guy to bring in to talk about groupers than my good friend Randy Tao. Now, Randy, in the Florida Keys, you guys certainly are a region that has lots of groupers, both inshore and offshore, Atlantic side and Gulf side. So how do you like to catch them?
Very true. Well, right in the mouth. But we do have them in a lot of places. They love structure, bridges. I mean, you catch them at the bridge when you're tarpon fishing. You know, they're in a lot of places. They like to be around cover. One thing we want to talk about when you're grouper fishing, usually you want a rod that's going to do the job, because there's nothing worse than hooking a nice fish and he gets you in the bottom, gets you in the wreck, gets you around the piling. So if you're going to target a grouper, gear up for it.
Yeah.
So here's a pretty standard rig right here.
This is the PANHANDLE.
Right.
It's a short stand-up style of rod.
So this rod, you probably fish 40 or 50 pound line on it.
Right.
And the main reason is you want to be able to put some drag on the reel. 20 pounds of drag is a lot of drag. You can't really do it with 20 pound line. That's why 40 or 50 comes in handy to really put the brakes on these things. So the one thing I'm going to show you, a basic rig to go grouper fishing. There's the traditional knocker rig, where you'd have a short leader, usually about 6 feet, and you've got your swivel, and the swivel would slide down, and it would stop there, and you'd throw it out, it'd go down to the bottom.
Right.
So that's kind of the traditional way. If you're not in deep water, like if you're shallow, it works pretty well because it doesn't get tangled.
Right.
If you're in a little bit deeper water, or you're fishing some of the wrecks, and you're going to be moving kind of on a drift, I put this rig together where you've got 2 snap swivels.
All right, so let's take our time, make sure everybody at home can see this. So you have 2 snap swivels. Snap swivel here is a good diamond swivel, I can tell.
And like 150 pound mono here, something pretty heavy so that you can use it over and over and it doesn't break. And then I have my lead where I can interchange it. Depending on the condition, I can go to a 10 ounce, an 8 ounce, a 12 ounce. So I can change that lead really quick, because if I have this now.
So where do you hook it?
On my line.
An additional diamond swivel here.
Right.
And this slides up and down the line.
Correct. So now I've got 2 swivels that are back to back, not to be confused with a 3-way.
Right.
So my leader's down here, and this one will slide down and carry the bait down to the bottom.
Correct.
And also, when this sits on the bottom, if I want a free line my bait out away from my lead, or let the fish eat it, I can do that.
So this is how it looks. So leave that on the bottom. Pick up the rod there. Just leave that laying on the desk. And so now what would end up happening is we actually have this, and we can adjust our length by either reeling it up to the stop or by letting it go deeper.
Exactly.
Letting our bait swim around. Love it.
So when you're already rigged up, the last thing you want to do is retie another lead on or get delayed in getting this bait in the water. So just unclip on the snap, And a lot of these leads come with the swivels on them like this. So it's an easy change to go from heavier to lighter,
So you could
depending
now
on
go
the
to
condition.
a 12 ounce or 14 or...
Yeah, and you can
however
have
big
all
you want.
these pre-rigged in your box. All you need is this piece right here. This is the magic with the 2 swivels on it that makes life easy when you want to change your leads.
Now, you and I have been doing Sportsman's Adventures for 27 years, and you've never showed this to me. Your little secret.
No, you've seen
It's
it.
out.
You just didn't
I didn't know what
recognize
I
it.
saw.
Exactly. Now I'm telling you.
Oh, that's how we roll now.
Well, evidently, if you didn't know after 27 years,
Well,
that's what we did. We
it's
did
a little
mutton
thick
snap.
up here sometimes, you know.
Loosen that hat up. We did a mutton show, and we had this rig on there when we were
All right,
catching
so
all the
let's
mutton.
take a second while we're doing this. Let's talk a little bit about the hooks that you like. What size do you typically make your rigs out of?
I use a lot of those Eagle Claw Trocar hooks. This is a 7.0 right here.
Yeah.
And I use the 4.0. This other one you just happen to have. I love the heavier wire. And if you're going to grouper fish, you can't have a thin wire hook. You can't have a little hook. You got to
Right.
have something that's not going to straighten out.
Right.
So these are really strong, triple strength, and they're very sharp. And that's my go-to hook right there for tarpon, for groupers, snappers.
So I want to show you something. You see where it says on this label here. See where it says there real close, if you can zoom in there, Doug. You see it says TK4, Randy?
Yeah.
The TK stands for quadruple strength. If it was a TK3, then that would be 3 times the normal strength. So if you guys go to, your local tackle store and you're looking at the Trocars, understand that the Trocar is the top of the line hook that Eagle Claw makes, but there's a TK2, TK3, TK4.
But also don't get confused with looking at this hook going, I'm going to use that for sail fishing and kite fishing.
Right.
It's way too heavy a wire to use
Right.
for live bait fishing for that application. Grouper fishing, tarpon fishing, there's no better hook than that right there. That's all I use.
Yeah, you would want to use the laser sharp in the Eagle Claws because that's
Correct.
a smaller
Thinner
wire
wire.
and it's going to go into the sailfish. You don't put a lot of drag on a sailfish anyway.
Exactly. So you don't have to
right.
worry about it breaking because you want it to stick and hook. And that's what those hooks do so well with their needle point.
So let me ask you, so this is the Penn Fathom 60. It's a 2-speed reel. Do you like 2-speed for the grouper fishing so that when they really close, I do like a 2-speed reel and put it in low gear so that we can put it in the power winch.
You know what, I go the other way because if I'm doing battle with something like that and I turn that handle, I want as much line coming my way as I can.
Uh-huh.
So I tend to believe the other way where every couple of cranks, I'm getting him further away from his house.
Right.
And, those extra feet make a big difference on a big grouper if he can get you in the bottom.
Well, I agree. So you hook that grouper. This is kind of how I envision the grouper. So you hook him and you're pulling him up and he looks over his shoulder. If he can see his hole, that's when you get the turn. Or if you allow him to see his hole, then he can get to it. Yeah. That's when we lose. But if you keep him coming, then he can never get a chance to look back.
You can't look back.
All right.
Never look back.
Don't look back,
Never
Brie.
look back. Well, guys, the secret's out. A secret that
baby
Rick...
coming. Don't look back.
Don't look back. I can't look back now. I just got to go straight ahead. All right, the Discover Crystal River Northwest region is full of grouper, all different shapes, sizes, and colors. So let's see where Captain Jeff Hageman is sending us for dinner. Hey, Tag.
And you don't have to loosen up your hat for this one.
Okay, good.
Grouper can be found throughout my entire region. We got a relatively shallow coast on my side. It gets deep slowly. Rock piles, limestone. We have one of the best grouper fisheries in the state. From near shore, offshore, inshore, we've got fish everywhere. Limestone holes, like I said, rock piles, ledges, high relief structures, wrecks are all great places. And we got a ton of them on this coast. Pinfish and pigfish are one of the 2 most used live baits on this coast, as well as threadfin herring and sardines. Also, as far as frozen bait, you can get sardines, squid, octopus, all great baits. We've got gags, carbos, reds, scamps, yellow edges, snowies, warsaws, and goliaths on this coast. That's the main ones we target over here, and you can catch them anywhere from 4 feet of water on out to 700 plus feet of water. Heavy tackle, like Randy was just talking about, is a must. Most of the guys out here use anywhere from 50 to 80 pound main line, and most of them are going to braid. When you do go to braid, make sure you have a long, we use mono for our shock. We usually use about 100 feet of it. So you got a top shot of 100 feet of mono on there, and then we'll go to our swivel and our lead, and that'll be fluorocarbon, anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds. And the smaller butterfly outfits are getting more and more popular on this coast. It's a lighter outfit, high-speed reel, 80-pound braid. They're getting more and more popular. They're easy to hold, and you can put a lot of power on the fish and get them out of those holes quick. The winter time is a great time up here. We have a great shallow water grouper fishery. We catch them as shallow as 6 to 4 feet of water, and we throw big swimming plugs at them, which is kind of unique to grouper fishing because you're usually fishing deep for them. But we'll actually throw big swimming plugs and poppers at them and get them busted on top. And I've got a great photo here from Captain Louie of Florida Fishing Adventures out of Ozella Keys Marina. Nice gag.
That is a nice gag. All right, Bub, what else you got for us?
I've got some red grouper. Captain Rob Davenport of the Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete. Reports grouper bite's been really good right now, and 100 to 130 feet of water on live bottom, small edges. He's also catching some scamps out there on the hard bottom using pinfish. Most of the red grouper have been coming on an aqua rig with a 6-ounce lead, 7-aught circle hook, 80-pound fluorocarbon leader, and the bait of choice has been squid or cut thread fins. And I've got a photo here from Captain Rob with a nice red grouper, an average one.
There you go. All right. What else?
Moving inshore, Captain Gary Bartell with River Adventures out of Ozella Keys Marina says it's been one of the best snook bites he's seen in a long time. You want to target the coastline and mangrove shorelines from the mouth of St. Martin's River to Grave Mar Pass on the incoming tide. He's throwing the fish bites, 4-inch on a 8-ounce jig head with 25-pound fluorocarbon leader. Look for low-lying mangroves that overhang in the water on the calm side of the island. He said that's where most of the fish are going to be. Staying inshore, but moving a little further south, down in Ozona, Captain Jimmy Huddleston of CaptainHud.com reports that his snook bite's been turning on. The transitional fish are moving out of the backcountry right now and moving out on the beaches. They've been doing real good on free-line sardines, and numbers of snook around the points and drop-offs have been doing real good on pinfish. Pinfish holds a little bit better in the tide. 25-pound fluorocarbon leader, he said, is a must because right now the water's been gin clear. 3-aught hook has been the best suited, and I've got a couple great snook photos, some really good ones. One from Ozella and one from Ozona.
All right.
They're a pretty good way apart, but some great fish.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us, Bub?
Moving all the way up to the end of my region, Captain JB of JB Charters out of Apalachicola reports his bull redfish bite right now have been good on the outside of the beaches. He's using mostly peeled shrimp and fish bites on an 18-ounce fluorocarbon leader, or 18-inch fluorocarbon leader, 30-pound test with a 1/2 to 3/4 ounce lead and a 2-aught circle hook. And he said most of the slot-sized fish right now he's catching, and it's been a little slow, but it's getting better and better every day. The marsh edges and shallow edges that have oyster bars, they're feeding right now mostly on the same thing. He's using peeled shrimp and fish bites. He's using a little less lead inside, 1/2 ounce. He said it'd be fine in there, 2-aught circle hook, and he's catching quite a few of them, and they're getting better and better every day. Reports have been getting better as the water temperature has been heating up.
All right, Bud, thank you. Great report from the Northwest region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. He says that inshore, snook on the outgoing and incoming tides on the beaches and passes, and then offshore, the mangrove snapper bite in 20 to 120 feet of water over any high relief structure. Use shrimp and small sardines for bait, free line with lots of chum.
Lots of chum. Can't go wrong with lots of chum. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah,
I'm right.
You always right.
I am always right. All right.
She's a girl.
Well,
she's a girl.
Okay.
Always right.
Okay, it's time to reel in awesome and discover Crystal River. Enter to win a deluxe CCA Florida Star getaway with a 2-night deluxe stay, chef-prepared lunch or dinner for 2 at West 82 Bar and Grill, and breakfast for 2 daily provided by Plantation on Crystal River, and guided fishing trip by River Adventure Tours, along with a CCA membership and tournament fees for 1 included. You will also get an invitation to the CCA Host Banquet for 2 on October 9th. To enter, head over to FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com/contest.
You can't enter.
Please, it sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, we'll go anyway.
I get breakfast, I get dinner, I get all this stuff and fishing. Man, I'm in right now. I know all I talk about is food lately. I wonder why. The ALVEY Reels Northeast and Reel Legends Southwest regions are in our sights next here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. So get your rods ready and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Bahio, fresh eyes for a rich life. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. R&R Tackle, from our tackle box to yours. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit one of our 4 locations or online at floridacoasteq.com. And Garmin, plot your paradise.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Reel Legends Performance Outfitters. All you need to feel comfortable on the water all day. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Reel Legends Performance Outfitters. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime. Go to ReelLegends.com to find a store near you. The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. ALVEY Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. ALVEY's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. ALVEY reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the ALVEY also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alveus.com.
All right, we're in the ALVEY Reels Northeast region with Captain Tommy D, and he is joining us. He has good news if you're planning on catching some grouper this weekend. So, Tommy, talk to us.
Brie, I always have good news.
You do, though.
We've got some killer grouper fishing here in the ALVEY Sidecast Reels Northeast region. Grouper is definitely a favorite offshore species here in my region, and you can catch them year-round. Late winter into the spring is probably your best bet at a grouper, and it should be a great opening to the season coming up on May 1st. You're going to find grouper on offshore ledges, reefs, and wrecks. And I spoke to Captain Jimmy Laidler from thelegendfishing.com, who is one of our resident grouper whisperers. He told me the grouper, they've already spawned. It's finished up in the Carolinas, and the grouper are stacked up in the region right now. Jimmy said those groupers are going to hold on just about any kind of structure, but a lot of times the smaller ledges and the live bottom, they're going to hold some of the bigger grouper. Captain Jimmy says you'll have a much better chance at one of those really big fish if you find that smaller live bottom that not everybody's going to fish. Now, you're probably not going to mark a lot of those fish on your bottom machine, but if you find a small ledge or a piece of live bottom out there, it's probably worth a drop. Now, the best baits are going to be live pinfish, grunts, or sardines, but a big Boston mackerel or even a few Boston mackerels on one hook are going to work really well. Now, Captain Jimmy told me his top secret big gag grouper bait, that is a live pink porgy, as those big gags can't resist those guys. Now, a 100-pound test main line to a fish finder rig with about 10 feet of a 150-pound leader and a stout Eagle Claw circle hook, that's going to be the typical setup. But, you're going to up your tackle size if you're fishing around some heavy structure, or you can downsize it a little if you're over some not-so-bad live bottom. Now, I've got a photo here. Captain Adam Jeffrey, another one of our grouper whisperers, had John Robinson offshore and put him on this monster gag grouper.
What? Hey, man, I never caught one that big. I'm going to quit fishing if I don't catch a big fish soon.
Rick, come on, man. Northeast Florida, we got some big old groupers up here.
I need to come up there, I guess. All right,
do.
tell us about the
You do.
tunas offshore, bub.
Yeah, man, you know, the offshore guys, they're hammering those blackfin tuna throughout the region right now. Sounds like they're pretty stacked up from the south end of the ledge all the way up to Mayport. Along with the blackfin, some of the guys have been pushing east of the Gulf Stream, way on out there, to find some yellowfin tuna as well. Look for the typical stuff when you're out there, the birds diving, the fish crashing, all that kind of stuff. There's also the first push of mahi that have started to show up pretty good here in those same areas, so be on the lookout for those guys as well. Now, moving inshore, I'm going to give the redfish a little break this week. I hate to do that because I love my redfish, but the trout bite continues to get better, especially for the bigger trout. This weekend we have some high water early in the morning, and that's a perfect recipe for tossing a topwater plug around the schools of finger mullet that are showing up. Now, my clients, they've also been catching some nice trout on that saltwater assassin sea shad, the paddle tail in the Mississippi hippie color. It's a lot of stuff to say. My brother, Captain Todd, he's been catching some huge trout in the creeks north of the Volano Bridge in St. Augustine by floating some extra large shrimp in the creek bends on the high outgoing tide. Now, if the float isn't working, you can also just toss that live shrimp up current, let it free line with a small 1-aught circle hook. Now, the schoolie trout, they've also been on the edges of the ICW once the tide's backed out a bit. But you know what? This is big trout time of year. And speaking of big trout, I've got another picture. Captain Todd Derringer sent me this picture of his daughter, Christina, with a monster of a trout that she caught floating one of those big live shrimp.
Hey, Stina,
Wow.
look at you with that trout.
Man.
Go, girl.
That's right. All right,
Cool.
tell us about
All right.
some flounder. You got the flounder pounder going?
Got the flounder pounder. You know all about it, Rick. You know, as I mentioned before, the finger mullet have started to show up in good numbers this past week, and that means a lot of our inshore game fish, they're getting really fired up. Now, flounder are one of those fish, as some of those are one of those fish, and some of those bigger fish are starting to show up as well as better numbers of those flounder. Now, we've been catching them this week as a bycatch while fishing for redfish, but, you know, if you really want to target them, fish the creek holes, the little runouts, and docks, or really any kind of structure on that last of the outgoing tide with a mud minnow or a small finger mullet on a jig head that's heavy enough to stay on the bottom. Now, along with the flounder, you know, the jacks, the ladyfish, even some Spanish mackerel, just about everything else is getting fired up with those finger mullet, getting thicker by the day. It's really a great time to get out on the water, guys. And I've got one last picture here. This is my man Peyton McRae with a nice flatty. He caught with me last week on a saltwater assassin jerkbait.
Nice. All right, bud. Well, it's time for the Strike Zone Northeast hotspots. Let's take a look inshore. He says the trout throughout the region toss topwater plugs early on the flats around the schools of bait, and then float a large shrimp in the creek holes as the tide drops through the morning. And then offshore, the blackfin tunas from the south end of the ledge all the way to Mayport. Also, be on the lookout for mahi showing up in those same areas, Brie.
That grouper, I'm just still in awe.
How'd you like my man's hair? He has so much hair, he pushed his hat up.
You think that's what it was?
Man,
I just
don't
think
know.
that's like the cool style. I think
Is
you
that
should
it?
try it. To make you look like you have hair.
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe people will think the same about you.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think
Your
that
captain
looks
from
too
the Real
bright.
Legend
No, no.
Southwest region is letting us in on the grouper goods. So let's get him on the line and get your weekend started.
We're losing
Rick?
control, Brie.
Well, I can tell you what, the Real Legend Southwest region, with the info we've been giving you the last couple of years, if you put in the time, it'll be well rewarding because the grouper bite is really good on the Southwest region. And they can probably the most common way to catch these fish are the gags and the reds. There are a variety of different ways to catch the grouper, including anchoring up on structure, or you can drift across pieces, which is a good way to locate them. And then once you find them, you can anchor up. Now, normally when you catch a lot of little ones, truthfully, it's time to move on. But wrecks, hard bottom, and ledges are great locations, whether it be big or small. Also, another key factor is going to be good moving water. If you can keep your weights on the bottom, it will produce a better bite, and that consists of having weights of anywhere from 6 to 10 ounces, and having a variety of weights with you is important due to wind and current changes. But then you can also catch them on white bucktails with glowworms, or even a paddle-tail swim bait like the Bass Assassin Dye Dapper, especially in snowstorm, as well as squid are a great way to catch them. But most of the time, cut baits and pinfish are very good baits. Cut baits to include herring, sardines, and squid, and you want to alternate your baits to see what they might be keyed in on. Captain Mike Avanon and Captain Corey McGuire this week to the north have both given me the exact reports as far as depth. Right now, 105 to 115 is a great place to start, and I'm going to show you results. I got a picture of Captain Mike Avanon with a variety of groupers, and a picture with a red grouper to the north while fishing with Captain Corey McGuire. Putting in the time will be well rewarding here on the southwest coast of Florida. Now, the second species is going to be the kingfish. In the last 2 weeks, I'm getting really good reports from Captain Mike Avanon as well as Captain Corey McGuire to the north that the kingfish are showing up in great numbers along wrecks, hard bottom and artificial reefs, and looking for bait schools. They're also traveling in scoops of Spanish mackerel. Now, the depths are going to vary anywhere from 50 to 80 feet, and anchoring on wrecks, slow trolling, and flat lining have been producing fish. Live herring, blue runners, and live ladyfish, as well as live sardines, are the key baits. Obviously, all with a trace of wire. And Captain Corey also recommends that if you are grouper fishing and you're anchored up, putting a flat line out will be well rewarding to catch yourself a kingfish. Now, on the inshore side, it's going to be the snooks. Captain Joe Casero reports the snook bite has been consistent with moderate winds and moving water along the beaches and deeper trenches along mangrove shorelines at low water from Goodland to Indian Key. Key baits for him have been the live pilchards and mullet, but Captain William Faulkner, who fishes a little further to the south, the Everglades backcountry in the Middle Bays from the Barren River to Pumpkin River, also reports fishing feeder creeks and windswept shorelines are also producing snook on a variety of flies and soft plastic bass assassin die dappers and the little boss on 8 to quarter-ounce jig heads. He also says windswept shorelines have been better than lee shorelines. Fish are not as spooky on the windswept shorelines. And I got a couple good pictures of a nice oversized snook caught with Captain Joe Casaro. And I've got a picture of Holly while fishing with Captain William Faulkner with her first snook on fly. Last piece is going to be the redfish. Captain Danny Latham still reports redfish in Bull and Turtle Bay. And alligator to burnt store has remained good, reporting that the early morning low tides or slick conditions are producing fish on topwater walk-the-dog lures, but fishing flats and potholes as the water rises on deeper shorelines with mullet, live pilchards, and pinfish. But to the south, Captain William Faulkner reports finding clean water on the outer Gulf Islands, especially at low tide, plenty of opportunity to sight cast reds on fly or artificial soft plastics like the Bass Assassin 4-inch sea shads, also walk-the-dog lures in bone, chartreuse, or chrome, especially in areas where there's a variety of mullet. And I've got a nice picture of a nice oversized redfish caught with Captain William Faulkner while fishing fly and sight fishing. So right now, shouldn't be no west wind Saturday and Sunday. Try to get out and catch some fish.
All right, Ronnie, thank you so much. Time to take a look at the Catty Can hotspots from the southwest region. He says inshore, tarpon, Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, outer beaches and passes using live herring, pinfish, and a variety of 4 to 6 inch swim baits. And then in offshore, permit, Indian Key to Wiggins Pass, fishing wrecks and artificial reefs using those live crabs.
All right, Rick, well, coming up May 20th is the CCA Homestead Banquet and Auction at the Homestead Miami Speedway, presented by Yamaha. Along with special guest Ron McGill from Zoo Miami, you can expect good times, great food, and of course conservation. So get your tickets by heading over to our website, FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. That's going to be a good night.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We got it back. All right, we've got a lot more fish to catch and products to see. So when we come back, we're talking with our captain from the STARTRON Central West region and seeing what shiny new things Captain Randy Tao is playing with over at the CCA Workbench.
Hey, fish fans, we're going to talk about fly rods, fly lines, fly reels, the new ALVEY conventional reel that takes 60 pounds of drag. Stay tuned.
And we're talking with a fly guy. We'll be back.
Here we go.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Yamaha's reputation for saltwater reliability is driven by the 4.2-liter V6 Offshore's 97% reliability and overall performance. reimagined with new advantages like built-in digital electric steering for incredible responsiveness and exhaust rerouting for more powerful reverse thrust. The legacy of the reliable Yamaha 4.2-liter V6 continues, now more refined and capable than ever. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
GARMIN Live Scope, I tell you right now, if you don't have it, you are behind. It's just wild. It's like a video game.
If you do not have that GARMIN Live Scope, you are definitely missing out.
Bassmaster Classic Champion!
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide-and-seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
Well, it's time for the Taco Marine Troll the Edge here at the CCA Workbench segment. You know, Randy, we talk about new products each week. You know, what a better way than we're talking about groupers tonight to introduce the new grouper reel by ALVEY.
You know, Rick, this is pretty interesting. Their reels that they make, they've kind of redesigned them a little bit, not having to be real big. Right. And this reel, as small as it is, it's 2-speed, it's a lever drag, and it can hold 400 yards of 50-pound braid. Braided line has really changed a lot of these reels to go smaller, and that's also got a 60 pounds of drag capacity.
2-speed reel.
2-speed.
I love the big handle.
The big handle's good.
So many times you find when guys can't crank, you know, they can't get the fish coming. I think a lot of times that reel allows, the reel handle allows them to get that inch.
Well, and it helps being a 2-speed as well. But the beauty of that reel being light, it's all machined aluminum, but the capacity of line and the drag that you can put on it, that's key right there, because you don't have to have a big clunky reel anymore. And that little reel right there will do an awesome job.
Yeah. Got a clicker on the side so you can set it in the rod holder. And
you can hear it too. This thing is a loud clicker on it.
Let me hear. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, they've been around a long time for sure. So let's talk a little bit, you know, it's tarpon time. Let's talk a little bit about a complete tarpon fly outfit. Let's start with the Hardy rod.
So you got this 4-piece Hardy rod. This is a 12 weight, I believe.
Yep.
And that's what most guys are throwing, 11 weights, 12 weights, floating lines. Now, what's unique about this rod, the stripping guides on here are titanium. So it's a really high-grade metal, but they're also called recoils.
What?
Because you can bend them like this.
No. What? Bub, come on. Are you kidding?
That's what they're...
And it's not going to break.
No, that's the beauty of it. They don't break.
Now, how much is that guide?
A lot of money.
The guide alone,
the guide alone is probably $50 or $60.
And there's 2 of those on here.
Right.
All right, so that explains a lot.
They both do the same thing. And very durable, very strong. And when you're fighting a tarpon, you need something with some horsepower. You know, you can't go after it with a really light rod. This is a very popular setup, along with their reel that they make. That's a big arbor reel. It holds plenty of backing, and the nice thing is every time you crank that, you're getting a lot of line back.
This is the Zane Carbon, 350 yards of gel spun. I put it on there along with a 12 weight. But here's what I like about it, Randy. When I pull the face of the reel off, Now what you can see is all the internal parts. The drag mechanism is here. And what I really love about this, if you look here, taking the same technology, there's a rubber gasket, just like you see out here on the end, that seeds inside of the drag housing.
Yeah,
so no salt water is going to penetrate and get in there.
And you just take that nut off and you can reverse it from left hand to right hand.
Correct. There's a one-way drag washer in there that allows you to do that. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about is certainly the fly line. Scientific Anglers is the fly lines that I love. This is called the Aptitude. And the way I can describe the taper is that we have got 53 feet of taper that allows us to turn it over in the wind, make that little quick short cast, and before you get into the running line. And
but it's colored as well, which helps you know when that head of the line is out of the rod tip so you can cast.
Exactly.
Because most people try to cast, it won't go anywhere because the weight, unlike a spinning rod where your lure carries your line, the line is what carries your fly. So if that line isn't out of the rod tip, your line doesn't go anywhere. So a shorter head's going to make it work a lot better.
Now, Scientific Angler makes that from 7 weight up to 12 weight floating. It has the AST plus slickness, which eliminates a lot of those fly line tangles that we get on on those real windy days. And the thing that I love about it is the way that taper is designed, it allows us to cast those big flies into the wind. Works very well. Scientificanglers.com, Hardy.com, as well as ALVEYUS.com. So that's where you guys can go to find out more information about that cool stuff. Right, Brie?
That is super cool stuff. I thought you were going to have a heart attack when he bent the guide.
Oh, I thought, what?
I almost did too. He does know how to fix them. All right, let's drift into the STARTRON Central West region and check out the gaggle of groupers our Captain Jeff Page has to talk about. So go for it, Page.
Good evening, everybody. Good job over there, Randy. You know, in the STARTRON Central West region, we have a lot of groupers, and I heard Hag mention them to the north of me, and we have the Scamps and the Snowies and the Kitty Mitchells and all those, but those are like bycatch compared to the big three. And when I say the big three, I mean red grouper, gag grouper, and of course the Goliath. This time of year, the red grouper likes to be out a little deeper as that water warms than the gag. And so Ronnie hit it on the head right now, 1.5 to 110 on out for that red grouper. And you know what, Rick? A good bottom machine is so essential. And once you've learned how to use it and know the difference between fish and bait and rock piles, it's going to make a big difference in your fishing. And then you throw in a Rodan anchor lock trolling motor and you've got a game changer right there. And it's really has changed the offshore fishing, that trolling motor and good bottom machine. And a lot of the charter guides here like to use monos still when they're standard bottom fishing for grouper. I'd say right now it's 50-50 mono versus braid. As far as the mono goes, terminal tackle, standard bottom rigs apply. Some guys will rig up a chicken rig. 1 to 3 ounce sinkers usually will get the job done. And 3.0 to 7.0 Trocor circle hooks from Eagle Claw is tough to beat. In the fall, we have a real good near shore and inshore gag grouper fishery that usually kicks off, Rick, right around September and goes through November. And what's cool about it is you control up and down the ICW and any little rock piles around the Skyway Bridge or any other little rock piles that you may know of that other people don't, with lipped plugs that will dive anywhere from 8 to 20 feet, depending on the water you're fishing. And you're gonna get some really nice gags in the fall. I got 2 photos tonight. The first one is a pair of beautiful red groupers caught with Captain Tim No out of Sarasota. And then my second one is a big giant gag grouper caught with Captain Randy Powell out of Venice. And it's a really nice one.
That is
staying offshore, kingfish. Rick, I keep telling y'all the kingfish are gonna go away, but they haven't. They've still been the mainstay for your offshore fishermen. To the north, Mike Mahoney reports good kingfish action, trolling spoons in 30 to 40 feet of water on different areas of hard bottom. And the key is, of course, is not being fooled if the thread fins aren't on top, because a lot of times, again, your bottom machine's crucial. You're going to find those blue runners holding on the bottom, and that's going to keep those kingfish tight to that area. So pay attention to your machine as well as your birds and your bait on top. You can troll spoons or you can free line live baits. Moving inshore, can't say enough about the stewardship and the conservation that all our anglers in the STARTRON Central West has been practicing over the past few years. And the good news, Rick, it's beginning to show up on the water. I've got good reports, redfish in my north part of my region. Captain Griffin Deans has been scoring real well in that Terracea Bay area. And then in the Big Pass area, Captain Devin York has been getting 6 to a dozen redfish a trip, up to 30 inches. And he's been using cut ladyfish and pinfish chunks all around the oyster bars and mangrove shorelines on the higher stages of the tide. You know, and that's probably when everybody's been doing the best right now, Rick. When we get that incoming water, that last part of the incoming, first part of the outgoing are going to be probably your best time to fish for these redfish, because they're able to get up around shorelines and oyster bars that they haven't been able to get up to all winter. So the fish are going to be there. You get your boat set up right, you're going to catch them. I've got a redfish photo tonight of a pair of really cute young anglers with Captain Travis Yackel out of the South Shore Tampa Bay region. And my last species, you know, I'm just a trout fisherman, so I got to throw in that speckled trout. And he's been doing real well in the Sarasota and Bradenton area, but I got reports down in Venice. If you were to come in the jetty and go north towards Blackburn Point Bridge, all the grass flats to the left and right of the intercoastal and docks are holding redfish and speckled trout. And the cool thing is that not only will they hit live bait or soft plastics, but you can get them on that J Walker 100 chrome plug, because the water's been so clear and that chrome plug shines just like a pilchard flashing in the water. Or you can put your pilchard under a cork and get the job done. And my last photo tonight is Captain Brian Marcy that had that nice kingfish with the biggest trout I've seen in Sarasota Bay in a while. Almost 30-inch trout, 7.5 pounds. And I'm saying hey to everybody at the Daiquiri Deck on Bradenton Beach.
All right, man, we'll be there. We'll see you soon over there, Paige. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck hotspots from the Central West region. He says inshore snook, the nighttime snook fishing is on fire at New Pass Bridge, as well as in Snook Alley in Venice. Live ladyfish and silver mullet is your best bet. And then offshore kingfish action remains strong in the north part of the region. Big Pass north to Egmont. Troll spoons and 20 to 30 feet of water over the hard bottom areas holding bait. What do you think, Brie?
All right, well, it's time to get your grouper on and win big. Enter any legal grouper in the Danco Sports Grouper Division to win a cool Danco product and a 115 HP Yamaha. And remember, it's not the biggest fish that wins, and you have 6 places awarded in the division. Star begins May 29th for 101 days of fishing, so get registered today at ccafloridastar.com for your shot to win a share of $500,000 in prizes and scholarships. All right, get signed up. We're dropping our lines in the R&R Tackle Southeast and Fish Bites East regions up next. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Florida. Make sure to head over to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and seeing new adventures, you have to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Captain Rick Murphy. We will see you soon.
All right, let's go.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by STARTRON, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. ALVEY Reels, a better way to fish. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Finding a shoreline is easy. finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Come explore untouched Florida, where you'll step into holy sea cow and fish pristine waters where you'll reel in, whoa! Come discover Crystal River with exciting adventures and incredible surprises everywhere. From exhilarating river adventures to scalloping in the Gulf to delicious fish to fork cuisine, this is the place where you can relax into Just a short drive from Tampa and Orlando is the amazing Discover Crystal River, Florida. Learn more at discovercrystalriverfl.com.
Service and reliability makes Alta Equipment the leader for all your construction equipment needs. With 7 locations across Florida and preferred brands like Volvo, Toro, Talk, Avant, and Rotec, Alta has the equipment to get the job done.
When I need equipment, I trust Alta.
From agriculture to landscape to construction, Alta has you covered. For sales, rentals, service, and parts, see your local Alta Equipment dealer today or call them at 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
All right, Grouper Sleigh Day is on the way in May in the R&R Tackle Southeast region. So let's listen up to Captain Jimbo Thomas to see where we can go find our dinner. Hi, Jimbo.
Hey, Brie. Hey, Rick, and hello, Randy. You know, in the R&R Tackle Southeast region, those grouper, they've been left alone for the last four months, so they should be biting when that season opens on May 1st. Now, the main grouper species that we target in the region are black, gag, and red, and there's a few different ways to go about catching those groupers. And one of the most productive methods is to troll deep diving plugs over the tops of the reefs in 15 to 50 feet of water. Now, any big lip, deep diving lure will work, and the color really doesn't seem to matter. You can also fish a rigged ballyhoo behind a planer to get your bait down into that grouper strike zone. And the best trolling speeds are 3 to 5 knots using medium to heavy tackle, and you want a tight drag to help pull that grouper out of the reef. Now, when a grouper does bite, you want to keep that boat moving to try and keep them from getting back into the rocks. Now, drifting over good reef structure, wrecks, and ledges in anywhere from 80 to 250 feet of water, that's also a great way to target those groupers. And I like to use live baits. A pinfish is great, blue runners, grunts, and speedos. Or you can drop a butterfly jig or a deep jig down on those same structures. Now, the basic rig for live baits is a long 80 to 100-pound monofilament leader and an 8/0 to 10/0 circle hook, and you want to use enough lead to hold the bottom, depending on what the current is. You can also anchor over that same bottom structure, and you can use that same long leader and that live bait and let your bait sit still on the bottom. A lot of times, if they're a little weary, they'll come up and grab it after it sits there for a while. And most of the groupers that come out of the deep water in the 15 to 20-pound range, and then on the reef, they're mixed sizes from sub-legal on up. Now, I got a photo here. This is a nice black grouper we caught, but he is out of season. We let him go. I know where he lives, so when that season opens on May 1st, we're going to go catch him. Now, staying offshore, our best fishing has been along the edge of the Gulf Stream where the blackfin tunas have been biting in depths from 120 to 250 feet of water. Now, the best baits have been light pilchards, herrings, goggle eyes, or sardines. Fish them under the kite or on flat lines. We've been scaling down to 30 or 40-pound fluorocarbon leaders and 4/0 to 6/0 circle or J hooks. Now, most of these blackfins, they've been in the 15 to 25-pound range. They're having a few larger ones caught. And the tunas, they've been biting throughout the day, but first thing in the morning and then late in the afternoon from around 3 o'clock until sunset, that's when they really are going to bite the best. There's also been blackfin tunas caught on the troll using small feathers in the 150 to 400 foot range. But the larger fish, they're definitely being caught on live baits. And if you can get some live pilchards and live chum, that'll definitely help get those tunas fired up. I got another photo here. This is Daniel and Francesca Caston with a pair of nice blackfins that we caught last Saturday aboard the Thomas Flyer. Now, moving inshore, all the inlets throughout the region, they've been holding tarpon as well as most of the bridges and the lit docks of the ICW. And the inlets, look for marks on your fish finder or rolling fish near the inlet mouths. Also along the jetties and adjacent beaches on both the north side and south sides of those inlets. Both the incoming and outgoing tides have been good in the early mornings and the evenings. You want to drift a big live shrimp or a live crab. Use a 6.0 to 8.0 circle hook, 60 to 80 pound mono fluoro leader, or you can try artificials in those same areas. And then around the bridges and docks, look for those tarpon feeding along the shadow lines on the outgoing tide. Again, a big shrimp, crab, or a live mullet will work, or you can cast swimming plugs. And a lot of these tarpon, especially in the inlets, have been up to 100, 120 pounds. And then moving really inshore, the largemouth bass fishing has been good in the Everglades and the lakes and canals throughout the whole region. The largemouths, they've been eating live shiners, crankbaits, artificial worms. Best fishing is early in the mornings and then late into the afternoons. The bulk of the fish have been on the small side, but they've been catching a lot of them. And then in the lakes and canals throughout the region, along with the largemouths, there's been a lot of peacock bass being caught. And the key to catching these peacocks is to find clear water, and they're going to bite best in the middle of the day when that sun's up high. First choice of bait for those peacocks is a live minnow or shiner, along with deep running crankbaits and soft plastics in dark colors.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. Great report. Time to take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region. Jimbo says drift live shrimp or crabs around the bridges and shadow lines in the inlets for evening tarpon. And then offshore, drift or kite fish live baits in 90 to 300 feet of water for a sailfish, kingfish, blackfin tuna, and occasional mahi.
Any of those sound great to me. All right, in the Fish Bites East region, we're telling you straight up the best grouper spots are from Stewart to Vero Beach, where the best rocks and reefs are. So let's listen up to Captain Holiday to see what other grouper catching gems he has for us.
That's pretty much true, Brie. You know, the best grouper rocks start in like 75 feet of water in an area they call a 6 Mile Reef. And then there's another section of reef in 120 feet of water they call the 8 Mile Reef. And then working your way north, you'll find that extends out to about 180 feet of water around the Oculina Ridge. And but you need to steer clear when you get up towards Fort Pierce of the closed section of that Oculina Bank along the reef. But you can fish inside it, you can fish outside it and do really well. You'll also find good grouper fishing in my region around the Wickstrom, the Mullifin, and the Halsey wrecks, and also around the rocks just outside of Bethel Shoals. For baits, it's pretty hard to beat a live pinfish or a threadfin or a ground or a pilchard or even a sand perch will work in a pinch. Rig them on 80-pound tackle. I like braided line because it has less drag in the water. 60-pound fluorocarbon leader, 9.0 trocar circle hook, and just enough weight to hold bottom. If the current's strong, you can also drift the reef with a 6 to 8 ounce jig with a glowworm on it and do pretty well. And don't be afraid to go out the Push Button Hill and drop down on the bottom there. They have a lot of snowy grouper in that region. The average grouper in my region is going to be 10 to 20 pounds. Most of them are black grouper gosh dang it.
All right, tell me about the dolphin fishing.
Yeah, so April and May are the historic months for big dolphin in the East region. In the last 2 years, the bite's been late. This year, it's right on time. In the past week, I've heard of 6 fish over 40 pounds caught between Lake Worth and Jensen Beach. And all the flying fish are out there right now. You run into these big schools of flying fish. You can bet with those flyers around, the bite's going to continue for the next couple of weeks. There's also been a good number of 10 to 12 pounders along the edge of the reef in 120 feet of water, and even some 20-pound gaffers out deeper just to keep you busy. There's been some nice edges and color changes in 200 feet of water, but a lot of the big fish are coming out deep, either off of floating objects or under diving birds. You can troll ballyhoo with a pink or a green or a blue and white skirt, or you can troll lures and feathers or strip baits and do really well, cover a lot of water that way. Or, you can just slow troll live bait and take your chance that you're going to pull a bait in front of the fish. There's really no rhyme or reason to a dolphin bite, but it does seem to be like it's best on a northerly wind, which we ought to see some of that later in the week. I have a photo there. That's Harlan Batrus. He caught that 42-pound dolphin in 180 feet of water off Jupiter. He was fishing with Captain Butch Constable, and that fish ate a live pilchard on 15-pound tackle, just swam right up to the boat.
Nice job, guys. All right, let's go inshore there, Hollywood.
Well, the sea trout bite has really picked up in the Indian River, in St. Lucie and Indian River counties, from like the power plant to the moorings flat in Vero Beach. Places like Pete Stone's Bar, Middle Cove, the Savannah Road Dock Line, St. Lucie Village, Queens Cove, they're all producing fish right now. There's been some big fish caught around the Spoil Islands, north of Harbor Branch. That bite seems to be best on the outgoing tides. Start your day throwing topwater plugs or saltwater session dye dappers or shads in the mullet or the shrimp colors. The shrimp are running on the outgoing tides right now, so a live shrimp under a rattle cork is another good option, as is a sand perch or a pinfish or a pilchard under a rattle cork. The average sea trout right now is like 2 to 4 pounds, but we're seeing 6, 8, and 10 pound fish caught every day this week. I got a photo of one of those big fish just to give you an idea. That's Capt ship from Pennsylvania. Whoa. She caught that nice 31-inch sea trout fishing with Captain Mark Dravo out of Fort Pierce. That fish ate a live pinfish. The other bite, the Loxahatchee River and South Fork of the St. Lucie River have both been producing over-slot snook right now for anglers that are throwing live mullet up on the seawalls. If you're trying to catch dinner, you might change strategies and throw like a topwater plug or a swim plug or a live pilchard or a threadfin. Work them around the docks of the St. Lucie River or Stewart Causeway, or you can fish a live grunt or a goggle eye or pilchard off the Lake Worth or Juno Beach piers at night. We're seeing a lot of mullet in the Intercoastal right now. So the seawalls around Hope Sound and Jupiter are also producing fish. Topwater plugs, swimming plugs are working there. In Fort Pierce Inlet, they've had a great nighttime bite on feathers. Also a shrimp and jig combination during the last of the outgoing tide. The average snook in my region is like 5 to 15 pounds, but if you're throwing mullet on the wall, expect to catch a 20 and 25 pounders.
All right, give us a bass report and we'll let you go, bud.
Well, Jimbo was talking about it. It's still the dry season in South Florida, and that's got the largemouth and peacock bass stacked up in the canals along the Sawgrass Recreation Area. If it's peacocks you want, get an early start. Look for schoolfish busting around the culverts and bridges and the intersections of canals. You can throw small topwater plugs. You can throw prop baits or lipless crankbaits or shad body grubs in the darker colors, or live shiners are always going to get you the bite. And then as the sun gets up, look for the fish around the undercut banks or the shoreline trees. A lot of the times you can sight cast them. Most of the peacocks are under 5 pounds. And if largemouth bass is your game, it's a 50 to 100 fish day right now in the Sawgrass Recreation Area. Working the holes in the vegetation or those small lily pad fields off the main canal. You want to throw like a bass assassin logger toad or a Florida sunset or watermelon seed twitch worm. Rig them Senko style and just twitch them along the edges of the grass. You'll get the pound on the drop. Most of the bass are under 2 pounds, but there have been fish to 5 pounds caught this week. So there are a few big fish out there.
All right, great report from the Fish Bites East region, Mike, but we're going to have to take a look at the T&H Marine hotspots. Let's see what Captain Mike says. Inshore, you want to go pompano in the surf of South Hutchinson Island. Sand fleas or Fish Bites Easy fleas on the incoming tides are going to work for those pompanos. And then offshore, cobias on the sand pile off of Stewart. Live pilchards, thread fins, and R&R flarehawk jigs are going to work for that. Look at all the variety that he had this week, man.
Fish Bites East region is just
on fire.
I am ready to catch one of those 42-pound dolphin. That is what I'm ready to do.
Come on.
That's what I want for Mother's Day, a 42-pound dolphin. Can we make it happen?
Looks like you're getting more than that for Mother's Day.
I am. I'm getting more mothery.
Yes.
We're headed to the Garmin Panhandle region when we return right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. So stay hooked. Hey, let's do my thunder.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. The IGFA. Fish for the World. Noble Air Charters. Raising the bar yet again. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Real Legends. Everything you need to live life local. And Taco Marine. Troll the edge.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
At Florida Coast Equipment, we understand you don't work banker's hours, so neither do we. You have a business to run, you have a family to feed, and you need your machine up and running. So our service team and our parts department will be there. If that means we have to stay late, we'll do it. If we have to start early, we'll do it. Because at the end of the day, you want equipment you can depend on and people you can trust, and we have a service team that will be there to service you.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with STARTRON. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with STARTRON.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now. Today's power pole tip is about the travel strap. Now, a month or so ago, I was traveling down to Flamingo, which is a 50-mile drive. Now, normally I don't travel with my power on, but because I had purchased some stuff and had it in my live well, I had to have the aeration system on. Thus, now I have a power pole situations that are active. Now, I carry my remote inside the seat. Something bounced up on the remote, deploying my power poles. So you can imagine 50 miles later in the down position, my spikes when I got down to the boat ramp at Flamingo were only about this long. If I would have had the travel strap at that time, we wouldn't have had any problem. It really works very, very well. It works on all the power pole models, and it's really simple on how you put it on. We're gonna simply go around like so. I like to bring it right here by one of the bolts here. We're gonna pull the Velcro tight and strap, pull it on there tight. Now this keeps my power pole from deploying even if the power's on or if there's some problem with the switch because of something laying on top of it. So if you have any questions about the travel strap, it's $14.99, or we'll actually make you a deal and sell you two for 30 bucks. So go to powerpole.com, and that's today's power pole tip. You know, when you got the strap on there, the travel strap, is never any problem.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, you know, and
travel away.
That's a nice little $15 protection device. Insurance.
$15.
That's all
That's it.
Or I'll sell you two for 30.
Two for 30. Yeah. What a Murphy
$14.99 or two for 30.
All right. Our Captain Pat Deneen in the Garmin Panhandle region is ready to rock and tell us where we're going to find them grouper at. So, Pat, make our weekend spirits bright.
You there, Pat?
Patty Pants.
Oh, I think Pat.
Hello.
Patty Pants, hello.
Pat, you there? Go ahead. Tell us about your report. Okay.
We heard him.
We heard him.
He's there.
All right, Pat, I'll start your report while you figure out how to use the phone. All right, so Pat says the grouper, the Panhandle, has a variety of groupers to target. He's got gags, reds, scamps, deep water grouper like yellow edges. And currently, all but the gags are open, with the gags opening soon. All are structure oriented, so don't forget that about the groupers. All the captains have said that tonight. Either natural hard bottom or wrecks. You can fish baits close to or on the bottom. Pinfish, porgies, octopus, all are baits of choice, typically fished on a Carolina rig with enough lead to bounce the bottom and enough backbone to keep them out of their holes. A deep water grouper like the yellow edges are extremely tasty and good chart on the natural gas pipes, along with to put some of them in the boat while deep dropping. Tell us about the photo of Captain Trey, Pat. You there?
Hey, Rick, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to the phone there, but yeah, there's a photo of Captain Trey Wines sitting in charter boat out of line from Destin, and that's just the top rack of a very nice snapper catch they caught this past week. So grouper fishing is very popular up here in the Panhandle, and it'll be open soon for gags, which is our most popular snapper for grouper. And
So tell us
Sorry
about
about losing you there, buddy.
It's all right.
But
Hey, man.
staying with the report, offshore, some really nice vermilion snappers or mingo snappers are being caught off the natural bottom and in the wrecks in 90 to 140 feet of water. But you don't have to get out into federal waters to have a nice catch of the mingos. Captain Jonathan Goodman, he's a light tackle guide out of Destin. He has the state water vermilion snapper fishing figured out. And you don't necessarily have to have private spots. Look at the public spots if you need to and fish them with 2-hook chicken rigs. Bait them with cut bait or live shrimp, and the smaller the hook, the lighter the lead, and the lighter the leader, the better. Fish your baits in the bottom third of the water column. State waters, vermilions are running about 12 inches, while the federal water fish certainly run much bigger, pushing 4 pounds. And then moving inshore, good trout fishing is occurring throughout the Panhandle bays. Last week's rains have discolored the water in the bays with a significant freshwater inflow. In many cases, it's pushing the trout into the lower bay systems. Captain Wes Rozier has been catching some really nice ones at Perdido Inlet. The trout are consistently being caught on grass flats near canal and bayou mouths, shallow early in the day and late in the day, and then deeper during midday or on bright sunshine days. And it pays to cast topwater chuggers and walk the dog style baits early in the morning, and then switch to midwater baits, wait the soft plastics throughout the midday. Electric chicken color pattern has always been a very good speckled trout color up here in the Panhandle. And there's a photo sent in by John Harrell. He caught this speckled trout during his lunch break off of Eklund Air Force Base, Choctaw Bay, in the mouth of one of the bayous. It's a great photo of a healthy trout. And thanks for sending that in, John.
Tell us about the pompanos, bub.
Yeah, man. Finally, inshore, the pompano fishing has remained very strong throughout the Panhandle, catching them from the Cape to Pensacola and sometimes right inside the inlets. At times, the bite's been fantastic off the Destiny Steady, but your all-around best bet is going to be from the beach. So pick your spot just east of the inlets on the rising tide or where the outer bar pinches into the shoreline. Off the beach, sand fleas or fish bites on a 2-hook chicken rig. That's going to be the ticket. And spend the money and put a small colored float above each hook, preferably pink, orange, or chartreuse. And you can also sight cast pompano and redfish while walking or trolling motor along the beach. The weather is perfect for that right now. Some big pompano are being caught with potential Alabama state record. A fish pushing 7 pounds was caught this past week just west of the state line.
Wow, that is a big pompano. Only thing that make that pompano better if he was in my presence in some 350-degree peanut oil. All right, bud, we're going to go ahead and take... Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region, where you can get all your pompano rigs inshore. Stick with the pompanos along the beaches using sand fleas or maybe some fish bites, and then offshore, blue water is in the canyon. So head out to the fads and troll for those pelagics.
All right, Rick, all the reports are in, so get ready for another fun-filled weekend of fishing wherever you are in this beautiful state of ours. And when we come back, we're seeing what the future holds for us right here on the Florida
Insider
Fishing
Report.
Okay, we'll
be
right
back.
Enjoy the water and your single-engine boat even more with the incredible control of Helmmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. Helmmaster EX packs the power of world-class control and automation that is changing the single and multi-engine boating experience forever. See Helmmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
We are for those who know that opportunity is nothing without preparation, those who know that the right gear can make or break a day. Born out of a need for reliability, tested and proven on the Miss Brit Charter fleet. From terminal tackle to all your live bait needs, whether you're fishing for fun or looking to win a tournament, R&R Tackle has what you need to stay ready.
right, next week we are talking surf fishing.
How
I really hope Dave's going to be back for that one because that is his.
Dave better be back.
That's his
I
hula
switched the
hoop.
schedule. It was supposed to be surf this week, and we
you
brought Randy in, and so we could talk about groupers.
You
because
switched
Dave,
the schedule?
Yeah, because Dave wanted to be here for the surf suit.
What a diva. He's so lucky to have us.
I know.
And we are lucky to have you, Randy. Thank you
That
for.
was great to be here.
You did great. Natural.
Always awesome.
That's my group of man right there.
That's a group of man.
Snapper man, group of man. Only thing he does
All right,
wrong.
we'll be back next week, guys.
lets him yell
Thanks for
tails
tuning
out of the
in.
damn side of the boat.
I don't make them jump out. You don't close the lid quick enough.